Prepare to have your mind blown if you try any of these 12 scents. So what I ended up doing was I took a look at a lot of the popular fragrances out there. A lot of these are fragrance lines, popular fragrance brands. You know, you've heard of them before. Then I dove in a little bit deeper, and then I started looking at some things that are typically kind of left in the dark. But when you actually go ahead and try them and smell them, you'll realize just how good they are. And you could probably argue that a good majority of these are severely underrated. Because not only do they smell really, really good, but they have that kind of wow factor effect about them, you know. It's one of those deals where when you smell them, you know that there's something different about it in a way that makes it very intriguing. So I will link these up down below so you can get them for prices that aren't ridiculously expensive. And also make sure you get subscribed so you see my community posts where I'm posting deals and that sort of thing every day and doing giveaways and all that type of stuff. Let's start off with L'Homme Ideal Extreme by Guerlain. So this one, for whatever reason, is pretty readily available on most discounters. And the reason why I say that is because Cool and the Eau de Parfum and the Extreme are always sold out and very hard to get. But the EDT and this one are always around. And so that leads me to believe one of two things. One, there's just a lot more of them out there for whatever reason. But two, people just aren't paying as much attention to something like this. Now this one has leather, it's got the signature almond note, there's some smoke in here as well, some tonka bean. It's that DNA, but simply put to the max, you know, even stronger in terms of scent profile than the EDP and the Extreme. Just goes in a different direction slightly, but has a lot of impact. And when you smell this one and spray it on your skin, you get hit with a whole bunch of stuff and it really smells great. I mean, this one will knock you off your feet. Next up, we have Dolce & Gabbana Velvet Incenso. It's got incense, of course, like you would imagine. Good dose of amber in here. This one is very kind of balsamic, resinous, and sweet, and again, very, very smoky, but it has a little bit of this kind of spicy, upscale, mature smell to it as well. I'm a big fan of this one here. Talked about it a few times. Also, another good one is Velvet Exotic Leather. Now, that one actually smells a little bit like Dolce & Gabbana The One EDP mixed with a little bit of La Nuit de l'Homme. Also great stuff, but a little bit harder to get. This one you can get on most discounters. And so basically this is Dolce & Gabbana's more private, expensive line, and they've bumped up the quality and just the scent composition throughout all of the ones I've tried. They're much more interesting. It's got great performance, and to me, this is a stunner. Tom Ford Ombre Leather Parfum. So the violet leaf is back in conjunction with that leather. In the original from the signature blend, they took away the violet leaf and substituted that with a jasmine accord, and that was really it for your freshness. And this kind of goes more back to the original ombre leather, more so ombre leather 16 in the private blend, which they discontinued to make room for these. So I like that they brought that violet leaf back. It gives it kind of an ozonic, fresh quality. But of course, the main focus is the leather. Now, it's not a animalic, rough around the edges leather like Tuscan leather. It's basically its younger brother. It's more mass pleasing. It's easier to wear. And this is also much more affordable. If you're a beginner and you're starting out, this would be the leather to go for. Or if you just want a wearable fragrance first and foremost with a prominent leather accord, go for this one. And just because it's easier to pull off compared to Tuscan leather doesn't make this one less interesting. When you smell this DNA for the first time, you're going to be taken by surprise, and most likely in a very good way. Next up, we have Voyage de Hermes. This is the Parfum, so I don't know. Is this a tester? I don't think it is. I'm just kind of looking at they got the writing on the side there, you know, your bottle size, information, name, all of that stuff. It's got cardamom, spices, lemon, woods, and a little bit of tea in here. Interesting bottle. This just kind of hinges down to the bottom, and there you go. You can spray it. This stuff smells amazing. Another one that's very classy and sophisticated, and that's kind of what I come to expect from a brand like Hermes. But really, it's all about that nice, warm cardamom. Smells beautiful. I love that note. And what's nice here is their mixing that note with the lemon. And so you immediately get this kind of citric lemon smell mixing with this warm spiciness. And then you're getting just some very nice light woods variety in here to create something that has a lot of depth, a lot of dimension, but ultimately still very wearable. But one thing's for sure, you probably haven't smelled anything else like this one. It's very, very unique for what it is, and it definitely stands out. Next up, Gucci Intense Oud. So I've been a fan of this one for a good while also, and it's been kind of weird. I believe it is officially discontinued, but a lot of discounters do still have this one. Now, it's not cheap, but it is very, very good. And if I have any advice to give you, it's that if you like nice, mild oud fragrances, if you could imagine yourself liking something like Nascimato Black Afgano, but a little bit lighter and more wearable, then you would have to pick this one up and check it out because it's amazing. Now you might be thinking, well, why spend the money on this when I can get Black Afgano? And that's a good point to some extent. Again, one, this is going to be more wearable for most guys out there. And two, when you actually break it down by price per mil, this one is still more affordable. You got to keep in mind the Nascimatos are coming in 30 ml bottles. And while it's an straight and it's plenty strong, you don't need a lot. This here is what, 90 ml, and it just really is still going to be more affordable in the long run. Not to mention a discontinued scent. It's going to be joining the likes of Gucci Pour Homme 1 and Envy and everything else at some point where they're just crazy expensive. So if you like nice wearable ouds and you want something that is a little bit different, check this one out. Cool bottle, cool presentation, and even better scent. Speaking of cool bottle or ridiculous bottle, depending on how you look at it, it's Cartier Linval. It's got honey, a little bit of tonka bean, and violet leaf, a whole bunch of weird notes going on in here. Some woods, very classic, very mature, and again, the bottle. Now, you can buy this in a different presentation. They updated it and they got rid of this flimsy kind of outer casing, so it's just regular glass now. I had the choice between them when I bought mine, and I bought this one just so I could have it. And I for what it's worth, I think it's cool. And I've said this before, but this has lasted a couple times of me moving and packing it away in a box with no added protection, by the way. I didn't wrap this in newspaper or anything, foam padding. I just put it in there just like I put everything else, and it's survived. So probably more durable than you think. Now, Cartier is known for making some incredibly classy scents. I could have put 3 in here, right? I was actually between 3 of them, and I ended up choosing one. The other 2 would have been either Declaration Parfum or Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Amazing, amazing scents. Again, they all could have worked. I just wanted to choose something I don't talk about as often. If you want something that blows you away and is just super unique, check this one out. And if you like vanilla and you want something addicting and sexy and intoxicating for the upcoming winter time and for the current fall temperatures, maybe depending on where you live, then I would recommend something like this while you can get it in stock. Mercedes-Benz Club Black, vanilla, benzoin, and a little bit of a bright, sparkly ambroxan off the top. Man, I've talked about this one so much. I remember talking about it a lot. Not only last winter, but I think even the winter before is when I initially got onto it. And man, I love every single thing about this. Every time I smell it, it's almost like the first time where I'm just so impressed by it. There's a lot of great vanilla scents out there. On the designer side, there's less of them. Well, let me take that back. There's a lot of vanilla scents on the designer side, but there aren't as many of them that are on this level. When you get over to the niche, you've got a bunch of big heavy hitter niche vanillas that are much more expensive, but for the price, this has to be one of the best ones you can get your hands on, about $60. This one's really cool right here, Bond Number 9, Bleecker Street. Love the bottle, very cool, definitely stands out, and it draws people's attention. If you're ever having people over in your fragrance dungeon and they see this on the shelf, they'll probably gravitate towards this first just because it looks cool, looks like springtime. And this, unfortunately, is not springtime, but I still wanted to feature this one anyway because it has blueberry, violet leaf, and oak moss in here. So it's a fruity scent, blueberry, but it's also very green from the oak moss and that sort of thing. And you would probably get that impression by looking at the bottle as well. It smells like springtime, early spring, because it's ozonic and fruity and very uplifting. This is a happy scent. This is one of those things where when you spray it on and you smell it, you would be hard pressed to not be in at least a decent mood. If you're having a bad day and you wear this, I just feel like you couldn't have a bad day anymore. You couldn't be upset anymore because this one is so uplifting and so motivating, and it kind of just puts a smile on your face. I mean, there's something about this. It's very satisfying and definitely worth checking out if you want something just out of the ordinary. Bottega Veneta Illusione. Talked about this one maybe once or twice. Cap is kind of weird on this one, so you've got a hole in the top, right? But you can just pull it off and there you go. So yeah, not really sure why they do that. And you could still spray it through there too and just make a mess on the inside of it. Not that I've done that, but theoretically you could. This one has lemon and woods. Very, very simple. You know, it's nothing that's going to reinvent the wheel. But you'll find that when you do spray this one, and especially when you spray it on skin, it has this impact and this punch that not a lot of other citrus fragrances have. And I think that's what makes this one stand out for me. That's kind of what gives it that blown away wow factor, like, man, that smells good type of smell, because there are tons and tons of citrus fragrances out there, but only so many can capture that kind of magic. And this one does that very well. Also has great quality, great composition, and all around a nice one to have for a decent price. Running down to the end a little bit, we have JOOP Homme Absolute. Now this one can get slept on easily because, well, it's a JOOP scent, and some people are not a fan of the DNA, and I don't really blame you, but this is not the original DNA, okay? Completely different. This one here has incense, tonka bean, black pepper, a little bit of ylang ylang as well. Smoky, peppery, sweet, and kind of ambery, okay? Not cough syrupy sweet like the original or anything like that. This is much more mature, much more likable, and just much more interesting. I mean, this is a really impressive flanker because they were able to divert from that original, very loud, over the top, and kind of obnoxious DNA and put out something that still has some depth and character to it, but in a much more well-rounded and likable way. You can also get this one for a pretty good price online, and I think you would honestly be surprised. I really, really do. And part of that wow factor is that it's a JOOP flanker, basically, but it's so much better than all of the other ones. So give it a shot. Second to last, Dolce & Gabbana The One Royal Night. Now it has some cardamom and a bunch of sandalwood. So it's all about, minus the tobacco that the original has, but this is better performing, it's creamier, it's more smooth, and it's delicious. It's very addicting. Now, so is the original, and a lot of the other flankers are amazing as well. Luminous Night is great. But this one has this silkiness about it and this texture that I haven't really gotten in a lot of other scents. Even, again, going back to the original. The original, having the tobacco, which I do like, does have more texture though, and it loses some of that silkiness and that creaminess. But this one has all of that going on. A lot of it thanks to the sandalwood, and it's just so mouth-watering and addictive. And, you know, if you're someone that is frustrated with the performance of the original EDT and even the EDP, and, you know, you just kind of want to give up with the line, I would say to give this one a try, and you might be impressed all the way around, from the scent and even to the performance, which is significantly better. And we'll end this one with the Parfums de Marly. Love this stuff. Truly an amazing scent. Really, really have a lot of great things to say about Carlisle. So unique. Now, look, it does smell a little bit like, I don't know, like a Mancera red tobacco, but has more of a, well, less oud, first of all, and even less of a tobacco note in the same way, but more of this vanillic, balsamic creaminess and sweetness that you don't really get from red tobacco, because that one is hard-hitting and heavy and strong and has oud right off the bat from opening to dry down. It is a powerhouse of a scent. I love red tobacco, but this is a completely different wearing experience, and it does separate itself quite a bit at the end of the day from that DNA. But just to kind of give you a ballpark of what it smells, somewhat similar to, I think a lot of people like to use red tobacco, and I don't see really anything wrong with that. But just know that they're not clones of each other. There's some significant differences between the two. And I just like the smoothness and the more almost well-rounded kind of complete feeling of this one. that red tobacco kind of lacks in some cases. You know, this is going to be the Parfums de Marly for the person who really wants to focus more on scent character and development rather than compliments and mass appeal and even versatility. You've got Layton and Percival and Sedley and even like Herod for that right there. But if you want something that first and foremost is going to be unique and kind of maybe a challenge to you and just very interesting, go with Carlisle. I remember when I smelled this one for the first time, it was one of those deals where I was almost frustrated with myself for putting it off so long. This was one of the last Parfums de Marlys I ended up getting, partly due to the price, going to be one of the more expensive ones, but I was also just like, I don't know if I'll like it, but I love it. And I encourage you, if you want something that sounds similar to this and is unique and is going to blow you away, give this one a shot. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. 12 fragrances that will absolutely blow your mind when you first try these. If you're wanting to move to that next step, you've got all the mass pleasers, you got all the blue fragrances, all the aquatics, and you want to get into some things that are going to be for you to really take you to the next level, you can't go wrong with these. And again, I do feel like a lot of these are also very versatile as well. So not only will it just be something super personal that you can only wear at your house when no one else is around, you can actually get your money's worth out of these. Links will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.